More than a week since a robocall to voters used an AI voice of President Biden to tell them not to vote in the New Hampshire primary, and we still do not know who was behind it. It's the sort of deep-fake dirty trick that worries election experts, particularly as AI-generated political speech exists in a kind of legal gray area, and lawmakers are far from any kind of legislative solution. There is no indication that this robocall affected results, but Donnie O'Sullivan reports on a close election in Europe where a last-minute deepfake may have had an effect.
Do you think does this sound like you?
It does sound like me.
It sounds like him, but it isn't him. This is Michael Šimečka. He is the leader of the main opposition party here in Slovakia, and on the eve of this country's elections last year, he was the target of a deepfake.
My party was advocating a strong pro-Western, pro-European course to help itself fend off the Russian aggression.
Just 2 days before voting began in that high-stakes election, this audio tape began circulating online. It purported to be a recording of a conversation in which Šimečka talks about stealing the election.
So this didn't come out of the blue. It came against the backdrop of a narrative that the elections were to be legitimate, to be rigged.
His party, Progressive Slovakia, went on to lose the election by a few points. Do you think this could have changed the results of the election?
No way of knowing. We have stats that on Facebook alone it had 100,000 views, but it probably had some effect.
Slovakia is a country of some 5.5 million people, and it's bordered by Poland and Ukraine.
So a lot of experts say Americans should be paying closer attention to what is happening here in Eastern Europe, as it could be a sign of what is to come in the United States.
My warning is brace yourself for upcoming barrage of deepfakes. We'll be targeting presidential candidates in the US.
Daniel Milo ran a government agency in Slovakia that countered disinformation.
In my professional capacity, I do believe that this deepfake was part of a wider influence campaign by Russia to interfere into Slovak elections.
On the same day the deepfake emerged, the Russian SVR Foreign Intelligence Agency published a press release that pushed a similar conspiracy theory that the US government and Šimečka were working to rig Slovakia's elections. The director of NATO Stratcom said the deepfake and that Russian statement simultaneously correspond to each other and promote the same false narrative.
So you don't think the SVR's statement and the deepfake, the fact that they came out almost at the same time, you don't think that's a coincidence?
No, I don't think that's a coincidence at all. It's much more likely explanation, to me at least, is that this is all part of a wider operation that was aimed to disrupt the outcome of the elections as such.
One of the earliest posts of this deepfake came from a pro-Russian politician in Slovakia who also pushed election conspiracy theories on Russian TV.
Some of the first people to share it on social media here seem to be pretty Russia-friendly politicians.
They are Russia-friendly politicians. It can't be definitively proven that this has some Russian origin, but of course, a loss for Progressive Slovakia and a win for the other side would and does serve Russian interests, that's for sure.
Kremlin officials did not reply to requests for comment.
But even today, months after the elections here in Slovakia, there are still versions of that deepfake circulating on social media, including on Facebook.
Facebook reaction was very inconsistent and incoherent. In some cases, they just put a label that, this is most likely disinformation. In other cases, they removed the audio recording, but yet in other cases, they left the video untouched.
What's your message to Facebook?
Well, guys, put your house in order.
Asked about AI misinformation, Facebook's parent company told CNN, "We label it and downrank it in feed so fewer people see it." But CNN found multiple instances where the company did not label this deepfake, and their statement did not explain why. Regardless, once a deepfake spreads, the damage can be done. Even some of Šimečka's own supporters were confused.
People who are educated follow politics. They understand what's at stake, but still were confused by the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So people who are politically engaged, supporters of you.
Absolutely. So I think this might be the year when we see deepfake boom in election campaigns all across the world.
That is ominous with our election just ahead. Donnie is with us now. You mentioned this could be a sign of what's to come in U.S. elections. What is the U.S. government doing about this?
Yeah, absolutely, John. From US government officials that we have spoken to, this is something that is very, very much on their radar. And there are concerns about how this could play a factor in not just the presidential election, but elections all down the ballot and all across the country. And the thing is, this technology, to make fakes like this, to make a fake of my voice or your voice, John, now the technology, you only need a few minutes, sometimes even less than a minute of somebody's voice, audio of their voice, and you can make it sound like they have said anything. So in the past, this type of thing, might have been only available in the realm of nation-state actors and governments to create this sort of disinformation. But now anybody can do it, and I think that's going to be the real big concern as we go into the election.
All too easy. Tony, fascinating report. Thank you very much.